welcome to Pure Podcast. I am here today with Yehuda Kammen of Men of Integrity on Instagram. You've seen his stuff. You've seen all the Instagram reels. You've heard about him. He is a world-renowned polarity coach. He's helping couples really embody this idea of polarity, understanding how this can help and save marriages. Yehuda, thank you for joining.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm excited.
So a little background, and to be vulnerable, I actually got the privilege to work with Yehuda this past year with my husband. We went through his polarity coaching one-on-one. That was definitely an experience. But once we did it, and I have to say, it really shifted everything in our marriage. It really helped us understand this idea of polarity. How is he meant to show up as a masculine? How is the woman meant to show up as the feminine? And the expansion of those roles in the marriage. My husband and I, we've been in marriage therapy for about intensely 5 years, and we didn't come away with anything. We just came away with, complaining, maybe a few skills and tools, but going through your program was like spiritual or surgical boot camp for our relationship. We were torn apart, as you may remember, and the last call of our coaching, do you remember that one a little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So usually my husband and I were on at the same time, and we got to the place in our relationship where at the end of our coaching, we were going through a really difficult time, which was really beautiful because without going through this course, we would have never been able to really be honest and vulnerable with each other. But we weren't on that call at the same time. And you mentioned something to me. I was crying and I was complaining and I was like, well, he's a jerk, blah, 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 blah. And you just kind of like shut me down and you were like, yo, Ayala, you need to nourish yourself. You need to take care of yourself. I remember you said even like start dating yourself, like really take care of yourself. And self-care and this idea that you presented to me were two completely opposite things that I thought I knew about. When I started nourishing myself and pouring into my own world and dating myself, everything started shifting. I started accessing this divine feminine, which is what you were teaching us through this course. And now, thank God, my husband and I, through everything that we learned, we're now on a much better path and much better track. I think the first thing I did to date myself was organize my bathroom. I was like, if I were to date myself, what was the nicest gift? And I organized my bathroom, not his side, and he was really upset. And then he ended up cleaning his side after. He's like, well,
You can handle it.
yeah,
He can handle it. Yeah.
yeah. So I want to throw that in your lap and
Yeah, and first of all, it's an honor working with you guys, and I'm so privileged and that I get to I learn on the job too. I learn from so many people and what people go through, and it's like I always say, I always use this cheesy joke. Maybe it dates me a little bit. I'm 41, and growing up in the 80s and 90s, there was this commercial, the Hair Club for Men, where the guy would get on the thing and say, I'm not just the founder, I'm a member of the club too. So I'm also with you guys. The reason I'm here is because my marriage wasn't perfect, and I decided to work very hard for many, many years to fix it. And you have to do something about it. You have to look at the man in the mirror. You have to look at the woman in the mirror. You have to look at yourself in the mirror and be like, okay, what is going on? We all know the definition of a insanity, or sometimes they say a stupid person is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. And so that was my life. And it was just like, why isn't this getting better? What's changing? What isn't changing? And to your point, I'm very privileged to be involved with couples such as yourself and help in my own way and go through the program and teach people how to do these things because I've done these things. I've been in the trenches, and as your husband knows, and as you know from, being around each other and helping each other, not just in your personal relationship, but we've talked to each other about community issues and the dating world and the young couples world and the speaking world and the healers world, and we've just been in touch about that, and you really helped me. You were a big influence on helping me get introduced to Gedalia Fenster, and just kind of just talking about this whole world of what's needed, what needs to be spoken about. So I really appreciate it. And so Yeah, I'm right there with the couples. And one of the things that kind of is unique about my program is I'm not a therapist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't have all these PhDs. I'm a coach. And yes, I have training and I've gone through it and all this different stuff, but the big thing about polarity in particular is radical honesty.
Mm,
Is you have to learn how to be honest with yourself, internally, externally. You have to be willing to change. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. And, today's subject is a lot about the feminine. Like women, in my opinion, don't have much issue doing that, meaning they're much more suited for it. They're much more looking for it. They are what I call, my wife helped coin this, like they represent infinite potential.
mm,
Women do in particular.
right.
And if they represent infinite potential, they are always looking for the truth. It's the reason why 99.9% of people who find me and come to me, the wife is like, "Hey, I want to check this guy out." Send a reel to the husband, send it over,
Yeah.
whatever it is. It's like, "Oh,
Guilty.
yeah, exactly." And it's everyone. It's very rare where I have a man who's like, "Yo, I saw your reel. I want to fix my life." And that's not a knock on men. It's the truth because I'm that way. Men are that way. We have so many guards up to the world. We have to put out so much armor just to survive and to like navigate our emotional well-being. We're shut down. Our brain doesn't work on the same wavelengths as you females. So it's like we're very guarded with self-improvement. We're very egotistical with self-improvement. And so when the feminine represents complete education and openness and infinite potential, it's only very natural that the women in your life, the women of the world, will be gravitating towards this type of self-growth and this self-improvement. And so a big factor of what I speak about and what I talk about is, hey, what are you doing, Miss Feminine, Miss Woman, Ayala? Like, what are you doing to feed yourself? Are you feeding yourself? Because the relationship can be starving. The relationship in your internal, and by the way, it's not just your marriage, it's your childhood, your parents. It's so much layers that go behind what women have been through. In my experience, in my research, in even science, even sociological, like so much that you have gone through that is stifling feeding yourself truly, because it's a scary moment to step out there and say, well, what do I want? And how do I get it? And what do I do about it? Because there is a big movement out there. I don't even know what it's called. I guess they call it like the feminine movement, but I don't know something else. Maybe you know the name. But it's like, yes, I'm going to stand up for myself and I'm going to go and do what I want. And it's very almost aggressive. Like, I'm going to go out and be powerful. To be honest with you, that's actually damaging. It's actually not healthy for women to be like, I'm gonna go and get it and boss babe my way through the world.
What would the balance of that be?
It would be what we're talking about, divine femininity, is softness, slowing down, resting, like being able to pause and like there's so much science behind like when you rest, when you slow down, when you really become lazy, I don't mean lazy in a negative way, but like a powerful way, the level of growth and clarity and healing that happens to you and your nervous system is incredible, is absolutely incredible. When you white knuckle it through life, when you push, push, push and become the boss babe, your whole nervous system, your body shuts down. and and it's very, very tracked back to neurological development, biological development, and we can get into the spiritual development as well. So it's very kind of counterintuitive. So when I say to someone like you, Ayala, time to feed yourself, I don't mean force feed yourself. I mean like, hey, really take a whole day to do nothing and just think about what truly feeds you and how to get it. And work really hard. This is where you have the skills in a program to be like, How do I actually not feel guilty? How do I not care about how my husband feels about it or my coworkers or kids even? How do I truly push it aside and I'm doing it for me? Because you've spent so, and when I say you, I mean the women representing you and you personally. You spent so long worrying about everyone else around you except you, the little girl in you, the adult version of you, the teenager version of you, everybody, that version of you has spent the vast majority of your life worrying about everyone else, what they think, what they feel. And it's very rare where people are in a relationship where they're truly being asked, what is feeding you?
Yeah, I discovered that when we had that discussion and you kind of were like, Ayala, get your stuff together, right? Come on, like you've got to take care of yourself and nourish yourself. And I'm just like, I kind of felt um, a little guilty because for me, for at least women, we're told nourishing yourself is self-care and it like go get your nails done, that is nourishing yourself. Well, it's actually not. Getting your nails done is sitting on your butt for an hour and it's really annoying. It's not fun, it's not enjoyable. And once you were like, what is it that you want, it really helped me re-question it. I was trying to, like you said, make sure everyone else was okay, but at that time I was trying to make sure my marriage was okay. So it was almost like a third entity in our life: my husband, me, and we had my marriage and then my children, right? So I had this other baby that I've created and
Yeah.
I completely let go of it. I'm like, I don't, I can't spend my energy and focus trying to nurture this. I have to take a step back. And when I
Mhm.
did, the pieces fell. We separated for 2 hours, and then my husband came right back. But like I just was like, I'm not holding it anymore. I'm not being all the legs at the table, and I just let go, and things fell where they needed to, and it was really, really a big release for me.
Yeah, there's actually a moment, and you'll know from my program, but and people who know me or what I talk about, and for those of you new to this, you'll hear it for the first time. I call it "Don't worship the relationship," which is like the relationship kind of becomes like an idol. Like it's like, oh, we're always this is wrong and that's wrong. We fought over here, we fought over here. It's like, yes, it's important to face it. You have to face the mirror, 100%. That's my work. But don't make it the spotlight of your entire life. Like, there's so much more self-development, pure self-growth, and honest, truly self-healing that needs to happen to kind of don't treat the relationship as your idol. Like, people just start worshiping it, like you said, like it's this baby, it's like this thing I always have to do and fix. It's like, well, when you start to pull on the threads like you're explaining, to like truly drop it, not in an unhealthy way, in a healing way, and start to create this space of your own personal healing. And I say the same things to the men. The men, I say the same things. What you're not taking care of yourself. And it's a huge issue. And so the when they start to do that and go to that healing process together, they 100% feel the relationship magnetism start to grow together. Like you'll have the energy and the calmness, and the storm will be more settled. Doesn't go away, but the storm will be more settled to think clearer, to speak clearer, to like really approach issues with more clarity because you have this self-care, and it's not just a theory. This is all has to do with oxytocin levels, which is the bonding hormone, and it has to do with serotonin levels. It's science. And then there's the whole spiritual aspect of it that when you become a vessel for a blessing and you open yourself up to that, the blessing are able to come down. You're like unclogging a tube. You're
Mm.
unclogging like a way to receive better because you're moving all the schmutz out of the way. And so it all correlates to like a healthy flow of connection.
It almost seems counterintuitive for the divine feminine to like release the relationship almost and focus back on herself because we're so nurturing. Like everything around us needs to be nurtured. Everything needs to be taken care of. Everything needs our or the way we see it, right? Or most women is that it needs our constant input to be thriving and alive. Now there are aspects of our life that needs that, like our children constantly do need
Yeah.
us to feed them, make sure that they're safe and they're okay. But it's hard to know that I can release my attachment to the relationship or certain things in our lives, and then really start focusing on ourselves. And you said that's when the blessing starts flowing in, because everything else that's been blocking it, all of this stress, all of this tension, it now starts to shift. And now the divine feminine starts to activate.
Exactly. And I have a section for this in my course. It's called the Mother Crown and the Queen Crown. And so you just said, like being a mother, for example, it's the most feminine role that a woman, like that's what women do, right? God willing, you should be blessed with children. If those who don't have it should have it. And that's like the whole one of the biggest fulfillment of a woman's life is to be a mother, obviously. So, but a lot of people don't realize, and a lot of people know this, that there's healthy masculinity and femininity in everybody. Like men have femininity and masculinity. Women have masculinity and femininity. We all have both, obviously. What is a healthy masculinity within a woman? Being a mother. That's being a mother. What are you doing all day? You're changing diapers, carpool, creating safety. You're on top of it. But what happens is you become in your prefrontal cortex, the fight or flight mode, and you're solely focused on the safety and the regulation of however many kids you're dealing with. It could be 1 to 5, whatever, 10, Mir Tashem. So like it's the whole concept of you're going into a quote unquote masculine role when you're being a mother. And what is a father doing? He's going into a feminine role when he's being a father. Think about it. A man has to be nurturing, slow down, patient, calm, accepting. That's against his nature. Men are like, take no BS, move forward, A to B, linear. That's how men work. We have to slow down and become a lot more feminine when we are parenting. So when I'm parenting, I'm a lot more feminine. When you're parenting, you're a lot more masculine. This is a healthy version of masculinity and femininity within the opposite sex. But what could happen, especially for women, men, it's not, we can switch a lot easier. For women, you'll get stuck in your prefrontal cortex and have a hard time moving into divine femininity, which is let me take off the pressure, let me slow my brain down, let me close the computer tabs in my brain of like dinner, food, timing, pajamas, diapers, da, 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 da. Because when a woman is in that operating space, it's very hard to be intimate, to be close, to ask what she needs, to feed herself, because she puts herself aside for everyone else.
Right.
That's
And then
what she's doing.
we feel drained, and it's hard to show up in the relationship in the way that we want. And then the
Yep.
arguments start, and then,
Yep.
why don't you want to hug me? Why don't you sit on the couch? Why don't you want to be intimate with me? You're like, I'm overstimulated. Like, I can't
Yep.
even breathe.
Yeah. And so that's where I call upon the men to learn about this, to learn about themselves, to learn about how the feminine works. And I say it's literally part of my program, which is you need to help her transfer from the mother crown you're mothering to the queen crown. Take off her mother crown, put on the queen crown. What does that mean? The queen gets taken care of. The queen should have a king who comes and says, I got you. Go take a bath. I got the kids. I'm doing bedtime. I made you dinner. Go read your book. Go put on Netflix. Whatever it is to like bring that static down, that masculine static down, and introduce the divine feminine into your marriage, into the to that night, whatever it is, to the week, to invite her, I got this. And so I run the men through a whole program of like, hey, time to armor up, time to step in, time to take care of her, time to be able to understand your role as a man, to help her transition from mother to queen. So that's a big one. On understanding the divine femininity is transferring from mother to queen. And if you want to say this on like a more esoteric level, what is the weekday? Right? The weekday we're working, we're moving, we're making money, we're taking care of kids. And what is Shabbos? Shabbos is the queen. We completely move, the Jewish people, we move from the weekday to Shabbos. And that's the mother crown to the queen crown. Because what is Shabbos? It's supposed to be a day that God purely takes care of you. You're not worrying about bills and money and business, and you're just with God. on Shabbos. It's literally a day of rest. It's a day of Queen, right? They call it the Queen.
Right. And it's so interesting you said that, because you said that the husband invites the woman. He doesn't throw the crown on her. He invites her to slowly come into this role. And on Friday night, we sing Lecha Dodi and we say, boy, like, come here, Shabbos Queen. Like,
Yep.
we invite her in. Like, it's not like, okay, now you have to be this role. It's like we invite her slowly in. And I love that, because as a woman, I definitely feel that even somatically as we're talking. If my husband were to come to me and as an invitation, like, I got this, don't worry, like, everything's taken care of, and not like I'm going
Hmm.
to take care of everything. There's a difference. Is it coming as a request, as an invitation, or is it coming as that softness, like there's nothing you have to do, everything's taken care of?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how we should go into Shabbos. That's how Hashem invites us into Shabbos. I got it.
Mm.
Like,
Yeah.
enjoy. Come in with simcha. That's why we make kiddush. That's why we have a festive meal. We're supposed to come in with softness and celebration, and we sing, and it's a soft landing, hopefully. I mean, obviously there's a lot to work on, but like
Right.
that's the goal. That's the idea. So that's divine femininity, is inviting the queen. And for those of us going through marriages and relationships that stuff's still being worked on. That, let's say, the men don't know this yet and the women don't know this fully either. So like yourself, when we started working together, I would say, okay, what are you doing? How are you inviting yourself to be more of a queen? Because there's a personal level of it, and then there's a relationship level of it, and they both matter. They both are very important. So women, it's so important that women, I have like a tactical exercise I do with them, and it could be vague, but then you get more detailed. What feeds you? And often the mind, and you correct me if I'm wrong, but I see it with my own self, and even with, obviously, with men and women. The mind starts going, well, I can't really do that. I can't really do that. I can't really do that, because you start going to details like, I got kids, I got this, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't, I can't.
Yeah.
So we have to create new neurological pathways. This is how the brain heals, by creating new neurological pathways and shut down old negative ones. It's a scientific method. But if you open yourself to, don't worry about the details on how you're going to get a trip to the beach, how you're going to get a trip to Japan. I don't, who cares? Whatever feeds you, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Don't think about how it's not going to happen. Think about what it feels like to have it. If you start to feel what it feels like to have it, your neurological pathways will start to develop more of what they call electrical positive connections, and start to feed those pathways and grow. Your brain literally grows in a different way. So if you constantly feed it, okay, well, I don't know how I'm going to get to Japan. Who cares? But I want to go. And you may not have to go tomorrow, but it's whatever the big or small version of feeding yourself is. When we meet it with shutdown, you won't grow. When you meet it with curiosity, it will start to grow and you will start to heal in it. And you'll be surprised that you may not be able to go to Japan, but you'll actually get invited to this thing that fed you even more than like that. You'll, these things start falling into place. And so when you encourage, I want to encourage the women out there to really tap into this idea with clarity and silence, and shut the noise off. Ask your husband, hey, I need an hour to myself. What actually feeds me? And most women, not all, but most women are very tactical, meaning they'll write it down, they'll do a list, they'll do a vision board, they'll verbalize it, they'll journal it. Yeah, get tactical with it, like literally, and don't feel pressure that you have to hit every single feeding. But it's the
Right.
concept of opening yourself up to this and being open to it without the pressure of people pleasing, husband pleasing, walking on eggshells. I don't deserve this. Doesn't matter. This is for you.
Right. I love that. It reminds me of this rabbi that I've seen on Instagram. I forgot his name, but he's nice, big payas and a strimal, and he gave this class and he said that your wife needs to manifest and the man needs to have bitachon, which is trust. So he has this famous line. He goes, your wife does not need bitachon. She doesn't need trust. You need it. Let her vision board. Let her think about what she needs and what she wants. Let her manifest. And then you worry about the details, and you're the one that goes to God and being like, I don't know how to get her to Japan. Can you figure it out? Right? Like,
Right.
let the man start being in the details, and the woman kind of be in this divine feminine where she's almost not connected to this world. She's like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if la 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 la?
Yeah.
And I think we're scared to do that because we've been shunned and told that that's inappropriate, and it's not what women do. We need to be more grounded and more in this world, but that's really turned off a lot of our intuition, and it's messed with our nervous system a bit. We're like, why can't I imagine? Why can't I envision? Why can't I think bigger? Why can't I feel what I need? Why can't I go into that? And we've been told and shaped to be like, no, you really can't. That's not, it's not what a woman is meant to do. But you're saying really like the opposite, like go into that more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it. This is coming from Kabbalah. This is the Torah. Like
Right.
God says it. Like I'm not saying it. Like men represent Chachma, which is like a flash, like to the point, direct, like a flash. Bina is expansion. You're supposed to expand on this. You're supposed to be depth and go into this idea of imagination and feeling and connecting and bringing it to this place of like what they call manifestation these days. You know, I want to manifest this. And people get this bad rap of like, oh, women just, I manifested this, right? And then the husbands are like, that's bullshit. I totally am the one working out there and paying all the bills, right? And then they get into this big fight. And then they're like, wait, no, that's not how it works. My wife just sits around and manifests all day. And then I go out and I slay dragons, right?
Yeah.
What the truth is that when you work like a sympathetic connection, because you have Chachma, Bina, Das. Das is where you bring the Chachma and the Bina together, and that is where you have it truly grounded into true understanding. Because you can't have one without the other. You have to have Chachma, Bina in order to have Das. So, which is wisdom, knowledge, and then understanding, right? So when you have just the go, go, go masculine, the yud of Hashem's name, and you don't have the rest of it, it's just a lot of huge potential energy with no place to land. When a woman is manifesting, you know, being able to tap into this version of herself that is truly free and rested and relaxed and open, a vessel. I mean, look at the literal like biology of a woman. She's a vessel. She grows children. She has a womb. It represents vacant space. It represents a keli. That's what a woman literally is. And so when you are filling that keli with beautiful thoughts and connection and manifestation and dreams, that creates a channel for the man to feed, for the man to give this in. But if it's stifled and you're trying to go, go, go and push, push, push and white knuckle it through everything, it closes it up. So I didn't, this is all talked about in Kabbalah and Halacha even.
Yeah. So, where's the difference between the feminine receiving and being able to contribute?
What I'd like to say about that is if she is feeling fed by herself, by her husband, and the relationship is being worked on, the giving isn't an active thing. It opens a space like in the relationship, in herself, for her. She doesn't have to actively give. It doesn't have to be an active thing. She will naturally want to be nurturing and giving. It comes naturally. So let me ask you a question, just like a throwaway question, but it's important. You're with a group of mothers out to coffee, right? And none of you are going through such crazy stuff. Maybe you are. Maybe your marriage is messed up. It doesn't matter. But this other mother comes in with this really cute baby, and the baby started to get fussy. The mom has to get the coffee or whatever. 100 times out of 100 times, I promise you, you and your girlfriends will naturally go over to that mom like, hey, let me help you. You can go get your coffee, right? That'll happen every time, will it not?
Yeah.
Because you are naturally in tuned with that feminine woman, in tuned with the baby, in tuned with the environment to do what? You're giving. You're giving back to that woman, to that baby, because you're not doing it out of pressure. You're not doing it out of social pressure. You're not doing it out of receiving a pleasure from helping that young woman or single mom or right. This
Yeah.
is like a very natural, feminine, energetic environment,
Yeah.
right?
And it fills us up. We're like, oh, I did
It fills
something. I
you up.
helped her. You feel
So
great.
let me ask you, do you feel pressured to help that situation? No.
No,
Do you feel complete, basically pleasure to help in that thing?
100%.
So that's the divine feminine version of giving because you're tapped into that in particular situation. You're tapped into a frequency that there's no pressure. You know your role, so to speak. You know that this is what women are designed to do, to nurture, to love, to give, to take care of that baby, to help that woman, to be kind, whatever that there's so many roles, but there's no pressure. Where a relationship gets all twisted, I think what you're also referring to is, well, I don't feel that way in my relationship right now. I got in a fight with my husband. I know what the right thing to do is. I should try to be loving in this situation. I should try to compliment him. I should try to come back and try to repair it, which is not good. Women, don't repair your relationship. Come to me. Let me help. I'll
Okay.
tell the man how to do it. But that's a whole nother matzo ball we can unravel. Um, but when you are parking your feelings and trying to do what's right, because you've been taught and you think you should fix it and you think you should bring it up and repair it, that's moving into the masculine. That's moving into like this version of you that's like, well, I got to do something about it because he's not going to. And so you're kind of shutting down that open, energetic antenna like you had at the coffee shop with the other women. That becomes smaller, contracted, and you're guarding yourself to try to repair and fix, and you're trying to be giving, you're trying to be loving and nurturing. Mm-mm. When a woman learns how to feel like she did in the coffee shop everywhere in her life and to speak what's good for her, this is where healing will happen in her relationship, in herself, in her body, in her nervous system, somatically. That's the channel. It's hard. Trust me, I'm saying it as if it's all poetic and beautiful. It is hard. You're
Yeah.
literally reconditioning yourself.
And I think that's really where like your program is. Do I get like a commission for everyone who signs up from your program?
Amen.
No,
No problem.
no, I'm kidding. But your
Of
program
course.
really comes in because you we usually are thinking, how do we fix the problem? How do we solve it? And sometimes we don't even know because we're so dysregulated. We're like, I want to be just giving and free and loving, and like now I have to go and solve this problem with a guy who's literally twice my size usually, and like how do I do how do I do this? And I got to figure out all the ways to talk in this and speak nicely, and we want to, but when you empower the man in this program, and I've seen it in my own relationship, when you empower the man to step up into that role, be like, you get to repair, you get to be the fix it guy. Like, don't give your wife a box of tools. Like, you take the toolbox, you fix the
Yeah.
leaking pipe. Let her tell you where the problem is, and then I'm going to come in and
Yep.
fix it. It takes off so much pressure, and it just helps the nervous system totally come back. And then we
Hmm.
argue and we fight again, it comes back up again, but it
Of
allows
course.
us to know that the man is the one that's capable of helping and putting this together. I don't have to take on every role. I don't have to be
Yeah.
mother and fixer and all these things, which is so much pressure on us.
You've been doing it this whole time.
Yeah.
Like, you're conditioned. You're most women arrogantly sounding, but I have a lot of experience in this. Most women have been doing this even before they got married, as little girls, with their family, with their parents. Some of them are older siblings. They take care of the younger ones. It's condition. It's not just the marriage. It's actually rarely just the marriage. The marriage perpetuates it, puts steroids into it 100%.
My daughter, she's 6 years old, and when my baby's crying and I don't go immediately over to him, you hear her talking to him like a mother. She's like, "It's okay,
Yeah.
what's wrong?" She's immediately repairing the situation, and I'm like, "No, it's okay, I got it." But I didn't move fast enough. But it's amazing how you see it so young, and I'm like, "Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing."
And I'm not saying that your daughter shouldn't do that. She should. It's actually good for her. But for you to reassure her, like, whenever you're overwhelmed with your siblings, come to me. You do not have to be overwhelmed with your siblings. You do not have to step in. You do not like it's not your job. It is not your job to mother them, but it's good to encourage, especially the women, to be like, I love you. It's okay. Like, again, let it come from that healing spot, like the coffee shop. Like it's totally healthy for your older daughter to help with the kids. That's totally good and healthy, but not out of pressure or out of what is it like responsibility. It's not her responsibility, but it could be her pleasure to do it. So many of my, I have an older son, I have a 17-year-old, and I have a whole bunch of babies after him. There's parts where my wife and I have to catch ourselves like we're relying way too much on his babysitting. Becoming overwhelmed, overstimulated. Now, to be honest with you, if you want to get into deeper polarity, there's a big difference between men and women in this role. Like men grow and should be pushed to push themselves. Should be in a healthy way. It could get unhealthy. And I'm not saying I do that with my son. I'm just saying a man should push himself to be uncomfortable to grow. Women should be like the coffee shop example. Does this feed you? Are you good? Enjoy it. Go play with the kids, enjoy it. But the second you start feeling overstimulated, overwhelmed, relied on too much, take the daughter away from that.
Mm-hmm.
The son, I do privately. My son, I'll do privately of like, no, you want to quit your boxing class? No, you need to stay. You need to push through it, graduate, finish it, finish it. Like to push him. I wouldn't do that with my little babies. Like, hey, no, you need to babysit even though you're pissed at us because we're asking you to babysit. I wouldn't do that to my son. But other things with my boy, you they need to be pushed. And I'm not saying this as a philosophy. This is also neurology. The brain develops in men, in young men, in older men, in men in particular, when we overcome challenges. When a man overcomes something that he's been pushed to his limit and he wins, oxytocin is released, healing chemicals are released, and his nervous system actually heals. A man heals by pushing himself. Like I could send you 1,000 interviews right now of like MMA fighters, UFC fighters who were like, I was a criminal, I was a bad guy. Now, from becoming a fighter, pushing myself in the gym, becoming a fighter, I am stable. I have a family. I blah, 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 down the line, right? There's so many studies in this and podcasts about this. Like men grow and heal by pushing themselves. Women grow and heal by slowing down, watering themselves, nurturing, go lay on the forest floor, talk to the trees, cry. Like this is what women need. They don't need to be pushing themselves, becoming a boss babe, pushing through it. You're you're messing up so much, your hormonal system, your cycle. It's so bad. It's bad when women do what men do. And by the way, when men go and cry and lay on the floor and go hug trees, they're
Yeah.
becoming very feminized and it's not good for them either. To like go sit and I'm not saying every once in a while for a man to go out, tap into his feminine, but to be as his main source of healing, it will destroy him. It will.
So we cry with the trees and the men take an axe and chop them down, kind of thing.
Exactly. We build
Okay.
the house. Yeah,
I
with the
got
tree.
it.
Bingo.
Okay. It's funny because I tried this out and I started like really falling into my feminine and just being like, I'm going to let things go and I'm going to let my husband take care of things. And like you say a lot in your program, let him fail. Just let him fail. Like we're so scared to let him fail. Like what's going to happen if he doesn't pay the bills? Well, the lights will be turned off. Well, the kids won't have lights. Yeah, but he'll have to fix it. Like,
Let him fix
like
it. Let him
let him
fix it.
fix
Yeah.
it. Let him fix it. And it's like, no, but like this and that, like, you know what? Let him fail and let him fix it. And so after our program, I started taking like a big hands off of a lot of things, even like bedtime, and I just started being like, I think I'm gonna lay with the baby, and you're gonna take care of the two older ones instead of going from the baby to the older one and back and forth like it was whack a mole. I started just like letting things kind of go. And I remember one day I was staying home and I'm like, I'm just gonna kind of do nothing today. I work for myself. I gave myself a day off. I'm gonna do nothing today. And I was like, well, this feels really guilty and like I feel really bad and really wrong. And I was just kind of just hanging around and like reading a book. I stayed in my pajamas. By the time my kids came home, I was so excited and ready. And I had my husband pick them up. I was so excited and ready to like make dinner. I had already made it. I was like ready because it wasn't that I felt like I had done nothing all day. I felt like I'm ready now to show up and I'm excited about it instead of it feeling like an obligation. Has you experienced that in like other people as well with your program?
Oh, yeah, 100%. That because what you're doing is I mean, again, spiritually, the Kaylee, blessing, Shefa, all that, neurologically, what you're doing is you're giving those neurological pathways time to relax, and it opens up the receptacle because you receive pleasure, Ayala, when the kids come home and you're ready to mother them. Like that's the your biggest joy in life, most likely in many ways, like the biggest joy that parents have, especially women, is to be like, what do you need? I love you. Let me hug you. Let me feed you. But because you took that space to heal, slow down, take the pressure off you, not overstimulate your tabs, all the open tabs. You closed the tabs and you breathed and you connected to the earth, literally or metaphorically. You just slowed down. Because you did that, you have this ability to approach your relationship with your kids and even your relationship with your husband with like, no, I want to be here. I want to do this from the feminine flow of what I represent. And that's the beauty of divine femininity. It's like, I was actually speaking to my rabbi last week and we were like, whatever, I'm sure he's a great rabbi. And he's like, man, I really love what you're doing. I got to figure out what I'm going to do uh, to do like a thing with me. We were talking about doing a thing together. And he's such a very thoughtful, deep man. He's like, let's go through it. Let's go through this. And we started going through it, and I started talking to him about what I do and all this stuff. And he basically said, yeah, but there's sometimes when women get very overstimulated and they like that. And they like to be go, go, go. And I go, well, let's break that down for a second. What I want you to understand is what I was explaining to him. There is a level of freedom that you could have, for example, Ayala or my wife, Shayna, that she feels so content within herself and zero pressure from the house, finances, nothing, just freedom where she can lock into the version. If you hear me talk, guys, you're going to hear me say that women are 8 times faster than men in their brain. They think at 200 milliseconds. They will do things better than men 8 times faster in most things, almost everything but physical, right? They're more organized, they're more on top of it, but they're operating from their masculine. It becomes overstimulating, it shuts them down physically and especially sexually, it shuts them down when they're always like that, go, 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 go. But there is a place within femininity where she feels free and real and grounded, where she can now tap into, no, I want to redo our whole house. And I just worked for 10 hours doing it, and I feel like I can go for another 10 hours. I don't feel overstimulated. I don't feel burnt down. I feel like I can be loving. I don't feel burnt out. That obviously can happen and does happen. The more you do this, you could tap into the superpower, get it done version of yourself, but be in your complete feminine for sure. What I was
Yeah.
talking, what I was talking to the rabbi about was like the vast majority of the time, women are not coming from that place. They're coming from pressure, financially, overstimulated. The husband won't help. No one will do it if I don't do it.
Yeah.
That was my point in my conversation with him. I'm like, yeah, you're right. For sure. There are some women who are so tapped into their femininity who can plan a event and feel so alive and connecting to themselves afterwards
Yeah.
because they're go, go, but there's no pressure, you know?
I experienced that this week. I had in the same day as my son's upshare, and I drove down to Miami. I had people who were down there cut my son's hair. I drove back up an hour and a half to Boca. I created an upshare for him. I did all the flower arrangements within an hour. I got myself dressed. I got my kids dressed. I did our hair like in the bathroom. Like everything was like, but I didn't feel crazy. Put this event together. As soon as the upshurn leaves, I drove back down to Miami because I had this event with Rabbi Katz and Gedalia that we put together in Miami, and I was helping arrange that. And I came back home at the end, and my friend was like, oh my God, that must have been an overwhelming day for you. I said, no, I actually don't even feel a little stressed or crazy at all because the days before and the weeks before, I've been really tapping into filling my cup and taking care of my femininity. So for me, it was just fluid. It was like, okay, drive down to
Yeah.
Miami, drive to 5 different people's houses, get his hair cut, go back, make an upshare. And my friend's like, you must be losing your mind. Do you want to go to the beach and relax? I'm like, no, I feel really good. And I was so confused because normally I would have a headache the next day. I'd be passed out. I couldn't do
Yep.
anything. I'd be resentful at my husband. Why did you drive him down?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it
yeah.
was none of that. I was like, wow, this is weird. It feels like I'm kind of floating in the bubble. Like, how did that not affect me physically or mentally negatively? I feel
Yeah.
filled from that.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's the point. So when you feed yourself like this and you learn about the divine femininity by making lists, being sure that you communicate it. I highly recommend that women find a village of women to be a part of. As you see, like I'm being in touch with some women that are either going through my program or curious about my program, and I send them to you, like to ask you questions and especially if they're in Florida, I'm like, hey, yeah, talk to Ayala. She's in part of a whole community. So setting women up with this community, with this energy, with these conversations starts to feed the 50% of it. And the other 50% is where I also deal with the man and be like, all right, here's how to help. Here's how to make your life better, to step into leadership, to step into ownership of protection, providing, being stable enough to handle the storm of the feminine in a good way, to be able to be there for her, hold the space, armor up, as you know all these words, right? So this is the yin and the yang lahavdil of like how it works, the masculine feminine coming together and creating that polarity of truly tapping into what feeds her and what is his mission. Is he serving his mission? Because the greatest pleasure that men get out of everything is being in servitude. We actually, our mission is to give, to serve. That is we're called the mashpia, the giver. Like that is our role. And if we do it from a holy place, an acceptance place, a place where we feel challenged and pushed and growth and also soft and slow and self-care also, for sure. When we approach it that way, we are able to truly receive the highest form of pleasure, which like I'm tapped into my purpose, into my mission in life, which is to give and provide and protect and create safety. So it's a very powerful yin and the yang. That I
Yeah.
call it heroic masculinity and divine femininity.
Everyone needs to learn this before they even get into a serious relationship. I really wish that I learned this before. Um, I have a question though for you. So before we end off, if I'm coming and I'm totally new to this and I'm like, where do I start? What would give me like 5 or 6 things that I can do to access my divine femininity? I know that you've spoken about making sure that you're resting. There's different ways, like being with friends, like going out, making sure that we're part of a group of women. What are ways that you'd say are like the top ways that a woman can start accessing her divine feminine?
Yeah. So a lot of it has to do starting with self-talk internally. So I have 5 pillars in my program. The first one's called mindset in the head. Like it's not who you are, it's who you're becoming, right? To remember, I'm becoming this. I don't need to be this yet. So it's like I want to become this type of woman. So A, I would say try not to be so hard on yourself. To not hold yourself internally. Only you know where you hold yourself up to. Internally to these very, very high expectations though. Like I'm a bad mom, I'm a bad wife, I'm not doing this right, I'm not where I want to be. All these different voices in your head to say, hey, I love you. You're amazing. You can do this. I believe in you. Like I'm here to heal. So it starts off internally in what you how you speak to yourself. Your internal voice. I recommend an external voice. I recommend, I'm sure most women are into this, especially if you're listening to this type of podcast, self talk, self speech to yourself. Like, I am amazing. I can do this. I deserve to have a voice. I deserve to be loved. I deserve to not have a crappy relationship anymore. I deserve to not have crappy sex. I deserve to not have a bad relationship with my husband. This is my internal voice. So, number one, I would say start there to like start feeding yourself these words, internal words, external words, looking in the mirror, saying how much you love you, how beautiful you are. All these different things matter. All the like the way she speaks to herself is a huge, but on repeat. Because if you don't do it on repeat, those neurological pathways won't grow and they won't take over the negative ones. You have to take over the negative, like, oh, that won't work. Our finances suck. We're stressful. This won't work, blah, blah, blah. They're just going to keep mulling over it. But you have to override it. This is where the healthy masculinity comes in. Override with positivity. And I know it's cheesy, but it's true. So that's number one. Number two, I think it's very crucial that women, like I said, make a list of the just the things she loves. And also pay attention to the negative voice of like, no, that can't happen. You can't afford that. You can't shut that out.
Yeah.
It's hard. Shut it out and say, what feeds me? I love to get together with the girls at least once a week. I love to get my favorite treat twice a week. I love to go on a trip once a month. Just say it. Don't be afraid if you're going to get it or not, because you won't get everything, at least in the beginning, for sure not.
Would
But
you feel that that would bring some resentment? Let's say a woman's like, I want to go on a trip once a month. My husband doesn't. And like, what happens to that voice? How do we shut that off? Just
so
press a
again,
button.
it's very hard to say how you shut it off because each individual is different. I would say practice recognizing it first. Recognizing it like, yeah, I'd love to go on a trip once a week, but there's no way we can afford it. All you're doing, all your brain is remembering is shut down. Shut it down. Because you're probably in a marriage where your husband shuts it down. We can't do that. It can't happen. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because if you actually want to live a life and quote unquote manifest that version of you where, hey, he has enough money, you both have enough money, who cares? Where that actually is being fed, where you could go on a trip once a month or whatever, it doesn't start with shutting it down. It starts with being open to it, regardless of how it comes. Because then you get into the more amuna, more spiritual part of things. Don't worry about how it comes. Think about what it is. Because when you think about and you develop what it is inside of you, you'll be very surprised. I know every single person listening to this podcast, including yourself, has had an experience where they open themselves up to something and they don't think about how they're going to get it. And it happens. It often happens in a way you didn't even, there's no way you could have thought about it. It just something could be a year later, whatever it is, right? But but the more you're open to that energy, the more you train your brain to be open to that energy, the more it will happen. This is true. To me, it's like the laws of nature. Like the more that you, and especially the laws of spirituality, but that's easy. It's the nature that's hard. The spiritual stuff is easy, to be honest with you. It's great to learn a mimer, some book about spirituality and be like, yes, think positive, and then great, it feels good. But how do you actually do it? How do you actually develop your brain to override the negative and feed it with positivity? And there's one answer, in my opinion. There is one answer: repetition. You
Mhm.
have to repeat it. You have to keep repeating it. If you don't repeat it, your brain will not lock into it because we have a computer system. God gave us a computer system that channels spirituality. And that computer system will tell you, repeat this because the other voices are already on repeat and you don't even know it. The other voices are, this sucks, my husband sucks, my job sucks, my money sucks. Your brain is already doing that
Yeah.
every day. So override it.
I
So
think,
it's hard.
yeah, like the shutting down, like we've got the what and shutting down the why. Why do I want it? How is it going to happen? And the when. Like just the
Yeah.
what is like, that's powerful.
Yeah. So focus on the what for the healing now. And then, so like that's stage two. Stage three is very much like, how do you verbalize it to your external world? You already internalized it and you verbalized it internally. You wrote it down, it's private, you're meditating, and maybe you do share it with your husband. Be careful. Don't share all these dreams with him. You're like, that's crazy, that's ridiculous. So be careful. That's maybe when you come talk to me about my program. I'll teach the husband how to shut his mouth and listen to like, don't shut her dreams down, no matter how big or small they are. So, but now it's slowly starting to verbalize externally, speaking to others your desires. So if you speak your desire of, hey, you know what? I really am on a really cool thing. I'm feeling really good about myself. I need an hour tonight to myself. I'm going to go play music. I'm going out to a concert. I'm going out with my girlfriends, or I want to play cards with you. I want to play a game with you. I want to go on a date with you. It's not her leading, it's her feeding, right? So it's you could get really twisted in that very quickly. You could turn this into your old patterns where you're leading the relationship. He doesn't ask me on a date, so I'm going to ask.
Right.
No.
Like you
This
said,
is
speaking from your desires.
Yes, this is you talking about your desire of what you want, regardless if he's on board or not. Regardless, you're
And
going to
if he's
do it.
not,
If he's not, again, that's where the
then it's
first
you.
two steps, the first two steps are important because you can't be phased. You can't be affected by like his loss. It's his loss. He doesn't want to go out to this show. I'm going to go enjoy myself. That's what kicked my ass personally. My wife meant it. She's like, I'm going to go enjoy my life. I would love for you to join me. But in order for you to join me, I need you to hit X, Y, and Z marks and not shut down and get defensive and put walls up. And I'm like, okay, this is another phase of my wife's BS. All the 10 years of BS we already went through. And I laughed at it. Not literally, but that internal stupid version of myself was like, okay, here we go, another thing, right?
Yeah.
But no, she meant it. She meant it. And she held strong, thank God. And I was very like, I felt so left behind. My wife is actually enjoying her life without me. And it didn't take long for me to be like, oh, wow, this is real. I better get my shit together. So I did. That was a
Good.
big catalyst in my life because
Yeah.
she started living and speaking from her divine femininity. She learned it from a certain coach that really helped her and various other books and just a combination of things. Before we existed, obviously. Now I just learned it from me.
Right. I love
But
that his loss. It's that you told me that too, and I was like, what if our marriage would get divorced? And you're like, it's his loss, and I'm like, wait, hold on, aren't I gonna be the single mom and I'm gonna be dealing with stuff? You're like, it's his loss, and you just kept saying that over and over, and I'm like, and I started understanding what you were
you started
talking
to feel the healing aspect
about.
of it.
I
Yeah.
was like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it.
Because you're putting yourself as the victim, not on purpose. You're
Hmm.
putting yourself as like, I don't deserve amazing things.
Yeah.
So if I leave or if all this crazy stuff happens, I'm the one who is screwed. No, why can't you be? No, he's screwed. I'm not saying your husband in particular. I'm talking about all the women out there. I'm saying like his loss. What are you holding on? Like all these women that go through this kind of stuff. It's like they're holding on to this version of themselves that is so much smaller than who they really are. Because if they're amazing, intelligent, and beautiful, and smart, and all these different things, he's losing that.
Hmm.
And but the women don't see themselves as that. That's why I'm saying start here.
Hmm.
And then start with the verbalization internally. Then stage three is external verbalization. Hey, this is what I'm doing. But you have to be careful. You have to be very careful with the external uh, vo verbalization because a lot of women will say, well, I'm going out, like it or not, see you later. And then that just like, it's just like,
Yeah.
well, screw you. And it turns this big fight. It's more of like this. This is how to say it. I love feeding myself and I want to be in a healthy relationship with you. I'm going to start feeding myself. I would love for you to join me. And I can't wait until you do because I want to share this with you. You're the man I chose. But until you're ready to be there with me, I'm going to have to do this self love with myself. I can't wait for you to join me. It's encouraging, it's loving, it's not this like feminism, screw men, I'm out loving myself, screw you.
Yeah.
That's garbage. It's
That's
all
what's been
garbage.
taught to us, right?
Yeah, that's so bad for both men and women. It's very bad. Screw men, I'm powerful. It doesn't mean you're right or wrong. It's the narrative is damaging to yourself as a woman and damaging to the relationship.
Mhm.
Because the truth is, a woman, look at every single archetype. Look at Esther, look at Sarah, look at Rivka, look at all these matriarchs. There's hundreds, if not thousands of them. Each one of them was calm, self-guided, didn't say, Avram, Sarah didn't go to Avram and be like, well, you're doing everything wrong. You should no, she was just like, that's not the right thing. This is what we should be doing. And I believe in you and you can do it. And like, it's this like beautiful feminism. It's not masculine feminism. And so that's how you do it. I mean, there's many different stages and steps, and there's advanced steps, but the three steps, if you're taking notes on this podcast, starts internally. Where do you see yourself? Then the internal narrative, the versions that you say yourself. And that could be private, external verbalization in the mirror. And then the third, which is could be dangerous, but worth it,
Mhm.
how to speak about it, how to tell your husband about it, how to tell your friends about it. You could do this with your friends, by the way. You can practice with your girlfriends because then you'll be a lot more safe. You don't
Yeah,
need to
and
worry about
nicer.
your husband. They're nicer, they're more accepting. You can mess up.
Yeah.
You could say, how many it happens between every girlfriends. Hey, I'll give you an example. My wife is really working on this. And by the way, I have a 3-month program. People ask me, you can fix my marriage in 3 months? Nope, I cannot.
Yeah.
I can help you with tools in about 3 or 4 months. And then you're going to have to do this for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
my wife is still learning this. She was negotiating on Facebook on a Jewish thing about furniture or some table or some shit like that, right? And um, she missed the timeline, and my wife texted back, hey, can we come pick up the table? And this person, another woman, very rudely said, I said it was available an hour ago. You should be more on top of your time management.
Oh.
And my wife, so a normal thing would be like, what an asshole, and just ignore it, right? My wife said, oh, well, thanks for telling me, but it sounds like you're scolding me. And we are adults and we don't do that. You're a stranger. Don't scold me.
Nice.
And she was just not direct. Like the old version of my wife would not speak from her feminine. She's sharing me this story yesterday or 2 days ago. And I'm like, wow, great. She's finding a deeper voice of like, are you scolding me? I don't even know you.
Right.
Like you could have just said, no, it's not available. You could have said that. And then
Wow.
the person apologized. And then like whatever, like all these different things, they actually became a conversation going. The person apologized. But so this is like you just be more of that grounded external version of yourself where you've been taught from a little girl, don't be big, stay small, don't speak up. But there's a magic, beautiful, soft, feminine way to do it. Don't do it like men. Men need to push and fight and argue and yell to other men in the world. That's our job. Women, no, your power is in like direct, beautiful, soft, slow, resting. And so that's what I would recommend.
I love that. And that way of talking is not shown to us in movies, in books, in heroes. Like we don't see it out there. So I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe this generation is the generation to really change the narrative on that, to
Yeah.
be able to show the younger generation, this is how your divine feminine shows up. This is how the divine feminine can be magnetic, draw
Yeah.
down blessing, take care of herself, and feel so regulated.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's
that's
that's just to be cliche, like society has, I mean, it's the whole overall the feminist movement, but society has taught women how to be like men, and society is teaching men how to be like women.
hmm
Like when I do retreats for men, I'm not out there, skipping around and holding each other and crying and sometimes if it comes out, it comes out. But that's no, I'm saying, what are you wasting your time for? What are you actually going to do with the rest of your time? Let's get to work. Let me help you. Let me support you. And in the pushing for a man, when we push men, the healing comes out then. Not in like, okay, let's all sit in a circle and breathe and cry about our childhood. It doesn't work like that. It's temporary. It feels good in the moment, but it doesn't motivate him to actually change, to actually become deeper and better. But when you have a band of brothers and you have a band of men who are holding you accountable and believing in you and lifting you up and pushing you to be better. That's where change happens in men. It's the opposite with women. When you tell women, slow down, cry, don't hold it in anymore, let it out. Let's hug the earth and breathe. And it's like healing for men has become feminized, healing for women has become masculinized. I'm switching it. That's polarity. You switch it. We don't
Wow.
heal the same. We don't need these same things. It doesn't work.
That sounds like rehab, not a retreat.
Yeah, it is rehab. Men need rehab. Like the structure I have my retreat is during the day, just like a man should work. During the day, you push yourself, you learn, you grow, you hold each other accountable, you connect. During the evening around the campfire, that's where you open up. That's where you cry. That's where you speak your emotions. It's not this whole world of like, okay, let's all get vulnerable. No, men need to build the world. They need to hold it up on their strong shoulders. And you need to learn how to do that and not just be a pushed over a passive person. So, yeah.
That's incredible. Well, how can people work with you, or when do you have your next retreat? How can they find you if they want to work one-on-one
I'm
with you? How do you have group sessions?
Yeah, so I'm trying to put together a men's retreat in July 27th through the 30th in upstate New York. It's about halfway full right now. We're working on it. We'll see where it all goes. You can message me on Instagram at Men of Integrity Life. And then for my program in particular, same. Follow me, message me, DM me. Um, and I have a whole 3 month program where I bring couples through this and I teach the teachings of polarity and dynamics and my 5 pillars, which is mindset, keeping your word, boundaries, armor, massive action. And you know about all that, all the 5 pillars, and I have this whole comprehensive program, and I have everything from a course, pre-recorded course that you own, group coaching, and then private one-on-one coaching. So depending on where you're at in life and what you can handle, I have a program for you. So reach out to me, DM me, Men of Integrity Life. Um, I'd love to talk to you.
Thank you. And I really appreciate you taking the time today to talk about this. I really hope this is going to help a lot of women. And I know that your program helped us so much, in particular myself. I know it's called Men of Integrity, but like I got the biggest gift from this. And I just want to say thank you.
You're
I hope I
welcome.
can share this with other women that I get in touch with. And thank you, Yehuda. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much. God bless you in everything that you're doing and helping couples and feminine and the masculine really expand their roles and know who they are.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor as well. And we'll give a little sneak peek. We're trying. Ayala and I, we're going to put together some stuff in Florida. I'm going to be putting together some programs for just women, like these little mini courses and little mini speaking engagements, as well as just for the masculine, like these little smaller containers. As well as I will be working on, let's just call it newlywed or dating, these kind of things of like to really expand the different packages and things that I offer. So it's in the works.
I'm really excited. Any way we can help spread it, I'm here for it.
Thank you. Thank
All
you.
right.
It's an
Thanks,
honor.
Yehuda. All
Thank you.
right.
See
Take
you.
care. Thank you.